Welcome back to the Vibe Check with
back.
Kaylee and
Vanessa.
And today we're talking about self-care.
Yes.
All things self-care, like how to maintain it.
That's
debunking some myths.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, debunking is our favorite
Apparently.
word. But anyways,
Maybe it's from like Mythbusters. No, remember that show?
yeah, that
Yeah.
was I loved that show.
Right?
We watched
have
it
to
in
like put a
science
little
class.
clip of it because I feel like some people like wouldn't know that show now.
No, actually, I think it still is on.
Is it?
But we watched it like that was like a science class thing.
Yeah.
Same with Bill Nye, the science guy.
Welcome to the Vibe Check with Kaylee and Vanessa. Let's talk about mental health, no judgment, just good vibes.
Alrighty, so let's just take it. Oh my god.
Ooh.
To kick her off.
To kick it off.
Vanessa, why don't you share with me some type of self-care thing that you've done that like was a massive fail, or just like the weirdest self-care thing that you've done?
See, that's what I'm trying to think of, because I know we were talking about this earlier of trying to like think of some self-care things, and I was trying to be like, what have I even done that is like a self-care thing for me that
Sorry, I had to get comfy.
Honestly, sometimes like plucking my eyebrows is super satisfying.
True, it's not really weird.
Is it?
I think it's just normal. Personal hygiene. Sorry, I shouldn't disregard something you say. I'm sorry. Do you want me to share mine?
Yeah, you share yours because I'm still trying to think.
I think one of the self-care like practices that I've tried, I don't know if it would necessarily be considered self-care, but like I try to photosynthesize.
What? Like a plant?
Yeah, it does good
That's
things
a
for plants.
thing?
Why wouldn't it do it for me? Like
I just lay it out in the sun.
Literally just like stand in the sun and just like stare at it and like hope it does.
Does something.
And like even better, like just having like your feet on the ground, like bare feet, like in grass or like whatever.
But was it a fail, right? Or was it?
I don't know. It could have been like a placebo thing, like. But there's just something about the sun. Like it's sunny out today, and I just feel like the sun just like makes you feel so much better.
It is true. Sun shining is just happier.
But yeah, photosynthesizing, one of my things. What's yours?
I love how you called it photosynthesizing instead of just like standing out in the sun.
I think photosynthesizing makes it sound more cool.
Scientifically proven.
Right? It's not. But
that's pretty good. I don't know. I feel like I'm struggling with finding like maybe I don't self-care enough.
We'll change that today.
Deep. I feel like just like I typically will do like a face masks from like Shoppers though, and it then ends up like burning my skin because it's like not actually very good for me, and I have sensitive skin.
Yeah, those masks, right? I think we have some here. They're not great.
No.
And sometimes they're scary.
Sometimes you're like, is it supposed to tingle?
Is it supposed to burn? Am I supposed to be in physical pain?
Is this what self-care is? Pain? It's like wearing high heels. Oh, perfect.
Okay, so let's just chat about some self-care myths. Debunk the myths. Make sure everyone's on the same page about self-care.
Okay.
I have pulled up just a little list from our friend ChatGPT about some self-care myths, just to like summarize.
Kick us off.
First one, self-care is just bubble baths and face masks.
Honestly, I hate bubble baths.
True, it doesn't work for everybody.
I absolutely hate them.
Here's my thing. I love the idea of a bubble bath.
It sounds good, but then
when I'm in it, I'm sweating. I'm uncomfortable.
You get pruny.
You do. That's and it's just like not an enjoyable experience.
The bubbles eventually fade, and then you're just left there
in
your own dirty water.
Soup water. Ew. Like I mean, no hate if you like a bath. Hate. Baths can be good, but like
it's just my personal preference. It's not bubble baths.
Yeah.
But to say that it's not the only thing that means self-care, because that's what like social media and I think a lot of people
it's like a glorified version of self-care. Like, and self-care doesn't need to be such like an extravagant thing like that.
Yeah, exactly. It could be what you do for self-care, right? Like I even said like sometimes I like doing like a face mask or something like that, and that's self-care because it's like my way of pampering myself when I myself when I normally wouldn't take the time to do that.
Right.
So that's where it can be helpful, but it's not just like when someone says, oh, you should take some time for yourself and have some self-care. It's not saying go take a bubble bath and have a face mask. And
it's not exclusively that. There's like so much more that could be self-care.
Yeah.
The next one, self-care is selfish.
No. It is not.
self-care is so much more than just for yourself.
Yeah, it's
And
because,
there's sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, because the time and energy that you put into yourself, the more you can then give to others too, right? If
Right.
you're not taking care of yourself first, then you're not able to give properly to your friends, to your loved ones, to people who are taking a lot from you. Not intentionally, but that's what happens, right? When you have conversations with people, when you hang out with them, they take your energy and your time.
Yes.
And if you're not giving yourself enough back from what you've given, you're not going to refill your cup.
Yeah, you can't be there for others if you're
No.
not there for yourself. And I think this myth also just comes from the idea that like self-care means doing things for yourself. And like I feel like the
Like
way society is built, like I think it's getting better, but like I feel like the constant mindset is that like you shouldn't be doing things for yourself. Like that's like you
like
should
do more for others.
Exactly.
But then we get to the same thing as how are you supposed to do more for others when you can't even take care of yourself?
Exactly. Okay, next one. Self-care is only for people who have time. So I got distracted because I skipped ahead, but it's fine. We'll do this one. Self-care is only for people who have time. Or if you don't have time, self-care is not important.
No. Like you make time to
you have
sometimes
to make time.
You can say that I'm too busy to take time for myself, but that's coming back to the whole thing of like you have to make time for yourself, because it goes back to that whole selfish thing. Some people don't want to take time for themselves because they think it's selfish, they're taking away from what they could be doing with others. But it's not solely just if you have time.
I feel like this also goes along with the idea or the assumption that self-care takes a long time.
Yeah.
And it doesn't need to. It doesn't need to be this huge time-consuming thing. And we'll get into this a little bit later, but I feel like habit stacking with self-care is so important in ensuring like this is one way that you can help maintain habits and like or not habits, self-care.
Yeah.
So like doing it while you're doing other things throughout your day can make it manageable, and like it doesn't need to be this like huge oh my gosh, I have to set 3 hours every single day for me to do XYZ.
Yes. And like also like self-care can be as little as you're doing schoolwork and you take a 2-minute break from technology, from everything, and just listen to music. That could be self-care.
Exactly. And I think this next myth goes into that, is that self-care is expensive. It doesn't need to be expensive. It can be
if you're really wanting to get like the face masks that don't burn.
Yeah. Or if you want to like go for a treatment or like go away or something, it could be expensive, right? But it doesn't have to
could be self-care too, being like, I'm going to treat myself to a trip, or I'm going to treat myself to like a day out, or you and your friends are going to do like, I don't know, go to the zoo. I don't know, something. That's all I could think of. Yeah. But something like that where it's like you're going to treat yourself, or like, treat yourself with an ice cream. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Like it
that's where it could be expensive, but you also have control over what you're choosing to do. If you don't have the funds, don't.
And it doesn't make one or the other less or more effective.
No, like buying ice cream is not a better self-care thing than staying at home and listening to music.
Exactly. Self-care means avoiding responsibilities.
No. No. We're saying no to everything.
Well, because they're myths. They're fake.
Yeah, it's true, because no.
Like self-care is doing things that help you to be able to do your responsibilities. It might mean pushing the responsibilities to the side, or maybe
like time management. Time management. Thank you. Yeah, like trying to, if you can't physically, because sometimes you get into a task, like one of your responsibilities, right? Like a chore or something that you're like, I should be doing this, and you physically can't do it. Like mentally and physically, you're like either exhausted, or you're like, I can't get into this task. I can't get into starting my homework. So it's actually more of a benefit that you take 5 minutes, be like, okay, let me just like reset. Yeah. Have some self-care, so that you can get into it. Or else normally if I just push myself into doing something, it will be like for the first 20 minutes, I'm just on my phone doing nothing. Yeah.
And self-care can also be taking care of your responsibilities.
Exactly, right? Because some people love doing chores, or like washing dishes, or doing the laundry.
Be just checking off that random task that you need to, that you've been meaning to do for so long. That can be your self-care.
Make you feel really good. You're like, oh, I got that accomplished. Like, I'm so proud of myself. Exactly. Self-care. Bada boom, bada boom.
Yeah, and like that point kind of just like minimizes what self-care really is.
Yes.
There's only 2 more that we'll discuss. Self-care is only about physical health.
No.
Like, it is about physical health, but that's one aspect.
It's about mental.
Yeah, we'll get into like the different types of self-care, but that's one aspect of it.
Yeah, because there's some people who love going to the gym and that's their version of self-care, like doing yoga.
That might be torture for someone else.
Like I don't go to the gym. I feel weird going to the gym, and like I don't run.
But there's other ways people to fulfill, love running. Yeah, there's other ways to fulfill your physical self-care as well.
Yes.
And it's not just about like that specific type of self-care.
Yes.
Last one, and it's a big one. Self-care has to be earned.
What? Everybody deserves self-care.
I think you have earned your self-care. Just existing, living, surviving.
Yeah.
You've earned it, and you deserve it, and you need it. And like I feel like also self-care needs to come before it's been earned, if that makes sense.
Like a plant. With your photosynthesis.
With my photosynthesis,
you need sunlight and you need to water it.
You need self-care. It's a part of these necessities.
Or else you won't grow.
Exactly.
So you can't earn it. It's something that's a part of you that you need to nurture yourself with, or else you won't be able to grow.
You're so right.
Like
love plant analogies.
Right?
Last, before we move on to the next piece, we just want to acknowledge it is hard. Self-care is hard. Like, and that's part of why we wanted to tackle this topic today, was just to kind of discuss how we can make it easier, how we can make it more maintainable.
Because even like at the beginning, right, you saw me struggle to even come up with a time that I did self-care.
Yeah. And it's hard.
I'm a counselor, right? Like
you should be practicing what you preach, Vanessa.
Yeah.
Obviously. But yeah, like it is hard, and we don't want to make it seem like it's so easy, you need to be doing this all the time, but it is really hard.
It's really difficult.
And it sounds dumb to say it's hard because, like, as we'll explain, like it's very easy to implement these things day to day, but it's hard.
Yeah, because everything's easier said than done. Like that's a saying that I don't think will ever be not true, because it's easy. Like you plan things, you just say, yes, I'm gonna do this, yes, I want to do this, but like actually doing the action that follows what you said is a whole other situation.
100%.
Yeah. All right, now that we've debunked the mythbusters. Okay, focus, Vanessa.
So the serious part.
Why does self-care matter?
It matters on so many different levels.
Yes.
Emotional, physical, mental, social.
All
of them. All levels of us.
Because it's all a part of us. So if we're thinking of more of like the like physical, like well-being, like health-wise, it has been proven that it can increase your well-being and like prevent chronic disease and like health complications that can come about, because you're actually taking the time to take care of yourself. Because we live in a world that's very much go, do this, and you're burning not only your mental energy but your physical like energy and like ability. If you just like keep doing a task and like it's physically hurting you and you don't take time to like reset and like take care of yourself, like that's hurting your body too, not just your mind.
Yeah.
So 100%.
That's where
100%. That's where it comes in, like the more physical side of things. And then when we're thinking of it as okay, another thing that it can help with the physical well-being side of things is that it has been proven to like reduce stress levels, which can help manage stress and in turn lower your blood pressure, which is also very healthy kind of situation and well-being side of things. Because we want to reduce stress. We don't, if we're living on high stress at all times, that's not good for your heart.
No. Or anything really, like your hormones, all that stuff.
All the stuff. We don't want that. And then finally for like the well-being side of thing, it also is talking about like energy levels, which we've kind of already talked about a little bit. So like if we can develop more healthy habits like self-care habits, then we can increase our energy levels and then therefore sustain ourselves better, because that's what the whole goal of this is like to feed into our own well-being so that we can keep going and can continue doing the things that we love to do. Right? So then that's more like the physical well-being side of things. And then when we're thinking of like emotional and mental health well-being, it can help reduce anxiety, depression, increase your mood, resilience, and self-esteem. So those are all good things. Like those are all healthy things that we would want to have, but the more we don't practice self-care, the less time that we're putting into ourselves, therefore the more anxiety we might have, and the more things, and the less self-esteem we might have, because we're not taking care of ourselves or taking the time to appreciate ourselves, right? And yeah, it can also help with emotional regulation, your mood, your resilience, all of that. And then that's just really what we want to do, is all of this. And I know I'm just listing off things now, but I feel like these are more of like the important things to remember, that it's not just self-care, is not just, oh yeah, like bubble baths and like let's have like a fun time. And
it goes so much deeper.
Exactly. It's important to know the background of self-care and why it's not just, oh, you should do self-care because it's nice. Like, no, it's actually proven to help on so many different levels.
It's necessary.
Yeah, exactly. And then, yeah, the last one is like that social, which Kaylee was saying, how, you know, it can build those stronger relationships because you're feeding into yourself first so that you can grow your relationship with others and build stronger connections and increase your communication skills, increase social support, and just overall greater social connection.
Very cool.
Yeah, so that's my facts.
Yeah. This also kind of just brings us into a theory that I kind of wanted to just talk about. I feel like I'm really not in frame, but it's fine. So I just want to talk about spoon theory. I don't know if many people have heard of it. I've talked a lot about it in my personal life, just as a neurodivergent individual. I just feel like it's a really relevant theory, and also just I resonated with it a lot, so I figured I'd share it today.
Yeah, because I don't even know what it is. So
love. Okay.
You can teach me.
So if you've never heard of it, it's like spoon theory is a way of explaining energy levels for individuals with chronic illness, mental health, neurodivergence, and other disabilities. Just disclaimer, I'm going to be looking over the side because I just want to, I've written how to organize my thoughts just because I don't have very organized thoughts.
And we're using a laptop, which is why I don't even know if the laptop's in frame or not, so I don't know if you can see it or not. I forgot about that.
Oh, well, it's okay. So the idea was just created by this woman who I believe she's like a blogger, patient advocate.
You can put her name in the description.
Yeah, I'll put her name. I'll even put like her video talking about it in the description because she'll do it way more justice than me. So I'm just gonna give it very basic. But so imagine you start your day with a certain number of spoons, and everybody, regardless of what they're going through, starts with a certain number of spoons.
Right.
But as you do things throughout the day, so it's just like socializing, working on things, doing chores, all of these other things, it costs you a certain number of spoons. And each task will probably cost everybody a different amount of spoons. Right. For example, for you, having a conversation might cost you half of a spoon or something. And for me, it might cost me like 3.
Right.
Depending on the day. And like this would vary per day. So basically, the idea is that like once you're out of spoons, somebody who has like a chronic illness, mental health, like those things that I listed earlier, like once you're out of spoons, you're out of spoons.
Right.
And that's it for the day. And like you kind of become a little bit more dysregulated that way once your spoons are gone.
Makes sense.
And a way to gain spoons is through these self-care practices, through regulating activities. And it's just like having this understanding is just helpful with understanding your limits, your personal limits.
Yeah.
And you might hear like someone who has learned about the spoon theory or who's like familiar with the spoon theory, you might hear someone say like, oh, I'm out of spoons for today, or like I don't have enough spoons for this.
Yeah,
like,
I'm out of spoons.
I'm out of spoons. And I've said that to you before and you're like, what are you talking about? But this is something like I just feel like it's a very tangible way to just think about like your capacity to handle things.
Yeah. My question was like, why spoons?
I don't really know why spoons, to be honest.
Because I've heard like
looked that up.
Like your cup, right? Like how full your cup is.
Right.
And like or like battery level too, right? Like how much like
I feel
phone
like
charge.
There's so many ways to think about it. I don't actually know why it's spoons.
Yeah, that's a good question.
I should
comment below what you think you're
comment below.
Why spoons?
Why
spoons?
Why spoons? And spoon theory.
Yeah, because I think I've seen like somebody who like gives a lot of themselves. So they pour out like some of their water to somebody else, and then somebody else, and talking to someone else, they empties their cup a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more, and then you're left with nothing. And how do you refill your cup?
There's not really an answer. I wonder if it's because this woman created it as a way of describing explaining the experience of lupus to her friends. So I think it might have just been like a thing that she came up with. So
she was just thinking about maybe she was holding a spoon at the time when she was coming up with it.
Maybe. anyways, it's random, but like I think so many different analogies can be used. Your cup's not full, your battery's not full, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I just think this is a really good thing to think about when we're talking about self-care, because we're talking about how to manage those spoons, how to manage your battery so that it lasts longer.
Right.
So like this could mean like using self-care practices throughout the day, not just like having a day and then planning to do self-care later. Right. It just means having those little moments throughout the day to extend your spoons, extend how long you have capacity for things, and like preparing in the future.
Which I think is also a good point, because I feel like a lot of people, when they think of self-care, it has to be like a day or it has to be how many hours, whereas like it could just be like you're just taking a couple minutes here and there to just keep the day going. Yeah. It could be like having like 30 minutes in the morning for your cup of coffee or something like that. Exactly. Which is what I'd like doing.
Yeah. And I think this theory specifically, or just using a tangible like idea, just makes it a little bit more helpful to explain to other people. Like, for example, me saying to you, I'm kind of running out of spoons. Like, this is why I'm acting this way, instead of saying like, Vanessa, I'm like not doing well. Yes. Which that may like
that could be
the underlying connotation, but me saying it just like explains it more to you than me just like further going into that being like, this happened today, this happened today, this happened today, like I'm really struggling. It just means like I'm running out of spoons, bear with me, kind of thing.
Yeah.
The more you know. I should put that like
the more you know.
So let's talk about, sorry, I just like went into it. Let's talk about types of self-care.
Moving on.
Types of self-care. I probably just yelled. Hold on. Types of self-care. So there's various types.
Yes, which is good to know, because I feel like, again, the common conception of it is just that there's one type and it's just...
Yeah.
Which is not true. Not bubble baths.
No, there's so many. Baths. So let's talk about it. So there's basic self-care. This is basically just like fulfilling your basic needs, like sleeping, eating,
drinking water,
moving your body, like those types of things.
Having like even like a shower, a bubble bath or something like that. Like it doesn't have to be a bubble bath. If you just like bathing,
wash yourself,
like
hygiene, like those types of things,
hygiene that like makes you brushing your teeth.
Yes, necessary things for normal functioning. Yeah, for basic survival.
Survival.
I guess not necessarily just normal functioning, but just like functioning at that kind of sweet spot where like you're not amazing, you're not terrible, but you're just like you're functioning.
Yeah.
Right?
Basic functioning.
Next is like emotional self-care. This is like your kind of stereotypical therapy what people think. Yeah. So like setting boundaries with your friends. Let's talk about how setting boundaries is self-care.
That's actually very true, because I feel like when you set a boundary, that's you deciding something, not somebody else deciding it for you, which therefore is self-care. Because people can say, oh, come here or do this and have fun, or like, let's go to Tim's on lunch, or let's do this. And if you're feeling like emotionally and mentally drained and you're like, I really don't want to, but you're almost pushing yourself because you feel like you have to, that's where you need to set those boundaries, because that's where it's actually damaging your self-care and yourself entirely, because you're not setting a boundary where it's like, no, you know what, like I only go out for lunch on this day, or I only do this time, and things like that, where you're taking control over the situation where most things in life you don't have control over.
Yeah. And I think like it sounds really easy to set boundaries. It sounds like a common sense topic, but I feel like it takes a lot of self-reflection to recognize what your boundaries are and what boundaries you need
and what you're capable of doing in those moments.
Yeah. And setting boundaries can literally mean saying no to things.
Exactly.
And saying no can be very, very hard.
Yeah. Especially when it's like your friend who being like, oh, like, let's come out and do this. And you're just like, how do I say no to this? And that is self-care. Yes. Saying no when you actually really want to say no.
Yeah. Or like even saying no when necessarily like you might not want to say no, but you need to say no. Like, for example, like let's say I've had a really hard week. I've not taken any time to like reflect with myself.
Yeah.
Kind of charge my battery, but you've asked me to go out and I'm like, I really want to go out with my friends, but like this weekend's not the time. Like I need to do space for myself. So it's also boundaries with yourself, with like just kind of staying strict with yourself that like, no, I need to do a little bit of self-care. I need to focus on myself.
I need me time.
And maybe I can do that another time when I'm having a little bit more of a battery.
Yeah.
It's just like being aware of yourself and like what you need,
which can be hard. So that is like understandable as well. If you're just like, okay, well, I want to go out with my friends and I want to do those things. So there's a difference between wanting to do something and being able to.
Yes, being able to.
Right?
Or emotional, self-care, journaling and like self-expression. But like journaling doesn't have to be like, dear diary, this is what I felt today and this is what I experienced. No, it could literally be like, it could be, yes, if that's what works for you.
Yeah.
I think journaling is something that's, a lot of people talk about doing it. A lot of people talk about how hard it is. It is also one of those things that's like, just journal. Like I literally said it that way the first time. But
exactly. But there's like, you could always Google like prompts online. That's what I normally do. Or I tell people to do. I would have to say I don't journal because that's something that doesn't come naturally to me. Because that's another thing. Like journaling is good for some people and not good for others. So self-care is really, you have to try out almost everything.
Oh yeah, and I feel like personally I've tried journaling. I wish I could be someone who journals, but like I always do that thing where like I did you see that?
Yeah.
I do this thing where I like start journaling and I like even write in my journal like I'm gonna start doing this every single day and set the intention, and then I come back to it like 6 months later and I'm like, shoot, I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
But one thing that has worked for me personally is I do like a little bit more of like an unstructured journaling / junk journaling. And I found it has like taken away the like expectation of myself to journal. So because I found even recently, the last time that I like set my intention to start journaling, I would like avoid writing in it because I'm like, the last time I wrote in this journal, I was having this moment where I was like, things are going to be better. I'm going to do better. And now I feel like I need to write in it about something bad that happened. But like,
it doesn't always have to be something that bad is
exactly
bad going on. It could be
so
something
like
positive.
I have this journal that I keep as like whatever I want. Some days I do write like, this happened today, blah, 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 blah. Some days I literally just like glue a bunch of junk into it and like write about anything. Like it literally could be anything.
Cool.
And I've just found it, this kind of goes into the next point that we're going to talk about, but just like a nice way of creative expression that I find is self-care as well.
Well, because I was also going to say journaling doesn't have to be writing either. It could be an artistic journal where you're drawing how you feel, right? Or you're doing like tracking your mood, so you're coloring in a page being like, this is blue because I was sad today, if that's what blue means to you, right? Like something like that.
Expressing your feelings doesn't have to be verbal.
No, because some people aren't like they don't like writing things down. They're more artistic and they like drawing rather than writing. So it's like making sure you're knowing like who you are and what you're capable of doing. And if you're like, oh yeah, journaling sounds good, I should do it, but you know that you hate writing, like that's not gonna probably go well for you.
No, exactly. The last thing I wrote in this as like our example for emotional self-care is therapy. And like this also doesn't have to be like going to therapy every single week or like going whatever. It could be just like seeing a therapist once or like going to a therapeutic group to
that's true,
gain some like peer support from other people. Or there's even so many different like self-directed versions of therapy. Again, like I don't think these are the most credible things, but like if you're just looking for a little bit of self-care, a little bit of like internal insight for yourself, they can be helpful.
And also just going to therapy,
like doing the action of whatever like you want to call it,
like the act, and then also you're setting aside an hour to talk about things that you need to talk about or you want to talk about. Like that's the whole point, right? Taking that 50 minutes or an hour to yourself. So it's like, no, you set aside this time, and because it was an appointment and it was made, you have that accountability that you have to do it. So you can even like build that relationship with a counselor and be like, you know what, can we just do like meditation for this hour? Can we just work on journaling? Can we talk about what I've journaled? Or it doesn't have to be, I guess, your stereotypical thing of what people think therapy is.
Exactly. Yeah.
It can be whatever you need.
Whatever you need. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
And then the last type of self-care that we wanted to talk about is just like fun self-care. Like these are like the creative things or like the fun things to do.
Having a dance party.
Dancing it out is so underrated.
Grey's Anatomy.
I do it all the time. It's my favorite thing to do.
Just dance it out.
Another thing, like literally just creative expression. So like doing a hobby, doing a craft. Yeah. Well, for me, it's crafts. I love crafts.
You're a crafter.
But like doing those things that like you love.
Crocheting for me. Yeah.
Like just setting time aside to do something that you enjoy doing.
Yes.
It can be so
and that's
fulfilling.
fun and makes you. It could even be like you know, there's like this one episode from this one show that you love, and every time you listen to it, it makes you laugh. Like we just did our last episode on laughing, and right, so it's like if you know that there's this one like Friends episode that you're gonna be like, I need to watch that right now because I know it's gonna be good for myself. That's self-care. Like it's when you get into like tunnel vision of just watching everything and then you feel like I did nothing.
Exactly.
That's where, but those are the boundaries you set for yourself. Right.
I also think, sorry, this is a little bit of a sidetrack. I feel like there is goodness in rotting on the couch.
Oh, 100%.
Sometimes.
It depends on how you feel after.
Yeah.
Because I sometimes feel like I'm like, I needed that. I needed to not do anything when I got home. I just needed to sit down, lay on the couch, and do nothing or watch TV and not even pay attention to what was happening. And then after doing that, sometimes I'm like, oh, that felt so good. Or other times I'm like, I should have been more productive, or I wish I didn't spend my entire day doing this. So I think it's just depending on like check in with yourself, like halfway through, like you're rotting on the couch. Just be like, do I want to continue this, or will I be upset with myself afterwards for not?
One thing that I found helpful is like if I feel like that's something that I need, like setting a rot evening or like a rot hour or two, so that I know, okay, I'm gonna. It sounds terrible saying rot, but I'm gonna like I'm gonna sit on the couch and do nothing for this evening, or I'm gonna sit on the couch and do nothing for 2 hours, and then after it's up, I continue with my time, and I just feel like this makes it more of like a task. It feels more like
setting timers is actually like
kind of thing.
Yeah, like setting a time
check.
frame.
I did nothing.
Exactly. It's actually, but setting a time frame and doing that kind of thing is actually really helpful in the sense of like, I'm going to do this for 30 minutes and like set a timer for 30 minutes. So it's like, you know, not to go past that amount of time, or that it's sometimes it's like, oh, it's self-care that you're doing for 30 minutes. And you're like, am I done yet? And it's like, no, keep doing things for yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. Great. Beautiful. Now moving on, how to stick with it. I think this is the big takeaway from our episode.
And I think it's just being purposeful about it and like actually like writing it down somewhere, like in like I've done a couple of like even like putting it in your calendar, right? Whether it's on your phone or you make like a fun little calendar and you stick it to your wall where it's like Friday, this coming Friday, I'm going to crochet.
Yes.
Or I'm going to, what's another thing?
Color.
Bubble bath. That's your thing. That's your
I think that kind of goes into what I was about to say. You need to find what works for you.
Yes.
So like implementing a self-care plan or self-care strategy isn't going to work if you don't fill it with things that are benefiting you and fulfilling you.
Try everything.
Yeah. See what works.
Like try journaling, even if you're like, oh, I don't like writing. Like you said, like I said, yeah, if you don't like writing, you probably won't like it, but just try it. Because somebody who hates writing might actually love journaling because it's purposeful, right? Not just writing aimlessly.
Exactly.
So I think that's the biggest thing too, is try everything and plan like a month of where you just practice different self-care things that you Google or find and see what works for you.
Yeah. I think another really good way to stick with it, as this is kind of what I started talking about in the beginning, is habit stacking, or just like starting with tiny little things to get your self-care.
Small goals are such a big thing. I always talk about this because if you over commit yourself, you end up letting yourself down if you can't actually fulfill that commitment. So like even just saying like 3 minutes, 5 minutes of just walking away from my phone or something like that. Short little goals are so great because then it makes you feel that happiness when you're like, I did it. Like I completed it. Exactly. And then it gives you the motivation to then do longer, do it more often.
Yeah. I think one thing that has really worked for me, not only in like a self-care aspect, but like in a habit forming aspect, is just like habit stacking. And I don't know how familiar people are with habit stacking, like I mentioned before, but it's where you pair one habit with an already existing habit. Like one thing on the top of my head that I can think of right now is I had a really hard time remembering to take medication in the morning. So I started stacking my habit of taking my medication with the habit of putting deodorant on, because I would always put deodorant on. And I feel like if you don't put deodorant on, like it's very obvious. So I would put my deodorant on and then take my medication. And like I knew that if I did those two things together, it would happen. Or this could be used within self-care. Like if you're trying to implement mindfulness, maybe while you're in the shower, doing a moment of mindfulness while you're in the shower, because you're going to be showering anyway. So do it then.
Or if you're like walking to school or walking somewhere, like using that as a purposeful thing, because I feel like in the small towns a lot of people do walk to school, right? So it's like your walk, having it be like a music mindfulness thing or something like that. I like that idea.
I just think habit stacking can be very useful when it comes to self-care, especially if you're in this mindset where you're like, I don't have time, or I don't remember to do it. Just if you stack it or pair it with another habit,
you could also, really with stacking, another version of it is like replacing, right? Mm-hmm. So the minute you start to do a habit that you're trying to get rid of, like picking, like I sometimes pick my nails or like the skin around my nails, and every time I start doing that, it's like replacing it with something else, like fiddling with a fidget toy or like my bracelet or something like that, where I can do something that's different. Or then I'm like, okay, I'm starting to pick my nails, maybe I'm getting anxious, maybe something's and noticing that there's a reason why you're doing something, and then being like, okay, maybe this is the time where I can start crocheting instead, because now my hands are busy and I can't pick.
Just replacing it with a more productive and healthy thing, like
habit.
Not to talk about something like relate to, like, oh my god, I can't speak, fuck. But like I pick my lips really badly. So what I've started doing is like when I notice like the urge to pick, or like I often pick without even noticing.
That's the other
I'll do like lip balm. So then like not only am I doing something that's healthier and not as harmful to my lips, like I'm doing something that's gonna help them eventually. Like maybe it'll make me stop picking them.
Right. So that's the other thing. So you can stack it, you can replace it, you can plan it on a calendar. What other things can we do?
My computer turned off.
Let's see. I'm trying to think.
I didn't really write any other ones, but like, I think the biggest thing is just like putting it into action. Just like put it into your calendar.
I was gonna say another way to like slowly start getting into it is doing with a friend.
Yes.
I don't know about you, but I find that everything comes easier sometimes when I have a buddy doing it. Like I don't go to the gym, but the one time I did do a little bit of going to the gym was with a friend, because I felt more comfortable doing something like that was out of my comfort zone, but my friend was a gym fitness person and they really liked going to the gym. And so I was able to learn from them to be able to do it as well. And it made it more fun too, right? Self-care doesn't have to be by yourself or boring or whatnot. It can be with somebody else that you enjoy spending time with, and and just being together.
And I think it also can be a form of habit stacking. Like for example, if I feel like, oh, I really want to see my friend this week, I also really want to prioritize myself. Okay, let's do
it with them.
Do something together that is self-care for us. So like, for example, with my friends a lot, we'll like sit on the couch and we'll watch movies, or we'll paint or something.
Yes, exactly.
Together. Like we'll do something silently together. Like we'll literally just sit together and not talk to each other.
Yeah, and like odds are your friend needs the self-care just as much as you do.
Yeah, exactly. And I think also this reminds me, just like acknowledging that this is like a necessary thing. Like self-care is like the same thing as eating breakfast or drinking water. Like it's not necessarily seen that way in our society, but like I feel like it just is something that we should prioritize just the same, and just like include that, whether it's once a month, once a week, once a day, like whatever works for you. It doesn't need to be.
Yeah, it could be once a month, right? Like it doesn't have to be every single week. Doesn't have to be every single weekend, right? It can just be like when you can actually do it.
Yeah, like I find it would be great if I could practice self-care every single day, but I also feel like if I'm like practicing self-care once a week or once a month, it feels special. Like I feel like it makes it feel,
it's like a treat.
Yeah, it makes it feel like a treat. And like I guess it doesn't necessarily need to be that way, but
if it helps,
I feel like it adds to the benefit for me.
Yeah, because it's like that extra bit of like, yay, I did it. Like I'm proud of myself. Like good for me. Yay me.
I don't know why I'm just shutting off.
When I thought of yay me, I was like London Tipton.
Yay me.
Okay.
Oh, and then this kind of ties into what we were just a little bit we were talking about, kind of.
Like, I don't know. Friends?
Anyways, how to deal with the guilt of doing something for yourself.
Yes. That's hard.
It is hard, but I think like I don't think there's any right way to do that, or any like
it's a mindset
specific way. I think you just like, again, accept that this is something that we all need. We all need to do it.
it's like reminding yourself, being like, would you be upset and guilty with yourself if you had a sip of water?
Yeah, exactly. Like, would you be upset that you slept? No.
Yeah.
And like just acknowledging that this is like, it's a necessity.
It's normal,
as well.
and it's healthy, and it's almost like kind of switching it around, being like, you should, like, you don't want to be guilty for doing something. If anything, you should feel guilty for not doing it, because it's for you and it's good for you.
And I think it's also a really good reminder to just think about what would happen if you just never did self-care. If you never took the time to think about yourself, you're gonna like get up to this, like, you might be managing pretty well, but it's gonna get up to this point where you're burnt out and you just like burnout, everything goes downhill. And getting burnt out and getting to this like really high point, self-care is not gonna work.
No, it's not.
Like, you need much more than just self-care. But if you keep implementing these little tiny little things of self-care, you won't get up here. You'll like, you might get up here, and you might like, it's just a very good maintenance strategy. And I think reminding yourself that it's a requirement to maintain wellness.
Yes.
And it's really not good for you if you're just waiting for yourself to need it. Like, you shouldn't need, like, of course there's going to be days where you need it, but like, you shouldn't be waiting till it's needed. Like, that's do it before it's needed.
I always say too, it's like, it's better to practice these like self-care practices or good practices when you're actually in a good space, versus like coming in when you're at your means end,
because you're not gonna want to do it, and you're not gonna be able to think of what to do. You're just like, I
know, right? Because even sometimes people come into counseling and they're like, I feel like I don't need it because I'm actually in a good place right now. I'm like, no, that's okay. Like, we can practice things now so that you can get into a habit of it while you're feeling good and you're actually motivated. So then it's hopefully easier when things are tough and you're not in the place where you to build a habit. You're just hoping that the habit of self-care is already in place, so that when things are going rough and bad and things are looking down, that your brain is like, oh, we gotta just do this to take care of ourselves. That's what we want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, should we move on?
Yeah.
Ooh, this is fun. Let's share a personal self-care fail. Do you have a self-care fail story?
Let me think. Do you have one?
Okay,
so you share while I'm thinking.
So it's gonna make me sound really bad. Anyways, I really wanted to practice again with my habit stacking. I wanted to practice self-care by walking while I worked.
Oh.
Okay. But I don't have a walking desk. Okay. I have a treadmill.
Yeah.
And a piece of wood that I put over the treadmill with my computer. Also, if my work is watching this was my personal computer, just for the
Don't worry.
And have my computer on it so I can walk and do my work, right? Somehow the wood fell, the computer fell, and then I fell. And like, our treadmill is like against the wall, so like I ended up in the wall. Not in the wall, I didn't break the wall, but like I hit the wall. My computer was fine, surprisingly. But yeah, I tried to do a fun thing of walking while I worked to get some steps in, and it was a disaster.
With you saying like exercise ones, I thought of one.
Oh, okay. I want to hear it.
I've been trying to get back into doing yoga.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And so I bought myself a very fancy mat too, to almost like trick my mind into being like, Vanessa, you have to use this.
You're a yoga person now.
And like, so I like put my yoga outfit on. I was like ready to go. I laid out the mat, and then I laid on the mat the entire time and didn't do anything. And then I just started looking for videos that were like, because I was trying to find like how like one to guide you through like a 15-minute one, but I couldn't find one I liked. So I spent like the entire time I was supposed to be doing yoga looking for a video that was somewhat easy that I could do.
Did you ever end up doing a video?
I don't think so. I think I was like, oh, it's too late now.
Love that.
I gave up, but I got it out.
You started. The intention was there. So next time you can get it out and actually do one.
Yeah.
And find the video before.
Before I like get everything ready.
I'm proud of you for trying.
So I just laid on my yoga mat, my very fancy Nike yoga mat.
Okay, Vanessa.
Yes.
What is a small self-care thing that you're going to do for yourself today?
Ooh. Today. What is today? Today's Thursday. I want to say yoga, but I feel like I know myself and I'm not good at doing yoga.
You try. Make your husband do it with you.
I don't think he can bend that way. He's very like lengthy. He's got long limbs.
That's funny.
Okay, I think I'm actually I've been wanting to start another crocheting project. Ooh. So I think I'm going to try to start that, or at least like plan to start it. That's little goals. I'm going to plan the crochet project I'm going to do.
Good. That's some good self-care. I like it.
What about you?
Well, I'm hanging out with some of my friends tonight, and we're probably going to go out for dinner. So my self-care is going to be just like taking a little bit extra time getting ready.
Ooh,
like putting some music on, doing my like dance it out. Yeah. And just like slowly getting ready and like enjoying that process. I feel like that's one of my favorite ways of practicing.
And not stressing yourself out to get ready, right?
Just like slowly getting ready.
Yeah.
Yeah. Making myself feel good.
Love that.
For me.
For you. Not for anybody else.
Period.
Period.
I literally said period in 2 episodes now. I've never said period
Me before. Neither. You're influencing me.
I don't know who's influencing me. Alrighty.
Everybody's just influencing each other.
Should we wrap it up?
Yeah, I think it's about time to wrap it up.
I do want to give just a little uplifting message.
Ooh, okay.
If all you did today was survive, that's enough, and that's okay.
Yeah, I like that.
And?
You want me to add something in?
No, I want you to say the quote that we always say.
Oh.
Not the quote.
That's the vibe for today.
Love.
Love.
We'll see you next time.
See you next time. Bye.